From San Francisco, California, this is the Rock and Roll Geek Show.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. My name is Michael Butler. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today is Sunday, August 19th, 2018. It's 4:26 in the morning. I've been up since 3 a.m. I am driving to go fishing in the kayak. I had originally planned, well, let me tell you how my day went yesterday first. Yesterday I interviewed the great Dennis Dunaway. I did that in the morning, and I had, if you listen back, I had audio problems. My recorder, my Marantz PMD 660, the CF card corrupted halfway through it, lost that recording. Fortunately, I had a backup recording on the Edirol R06 or whatever it's called. It was plugged in, and every time I would check on it, when I would lift the thing up, because I was so worried about the thing not recording since I screwed up the original one, so I didn't want to lose this interview, so I would lift up the thing and look, and every time I lifted it up, it jiggled the input cable and screwed up the sound. So I had to go in and manipulate the sound. It took me till, I was doing that till probably about 8:30 last night, and then I went to bed. Oh, before that I had to go to the emergency room. This, what I thought was thoracic outlet syndrome, with my entire right arm hurting and not being able to move it. I went to urgent care and got it checked out, and in urgent care you go there. I've never been to one of these private urgent care places, but they pretty much just give you their opinion, and they don't really run tests and as thorough as with a doctor. They gave me a shot of anti-inflammatory in the butt. Seemed to help a lot. And then they gave me a prescription for some muscle relaxers, which I have not taken because I had to get up at 3 in the morning. Anyway, so here I am. It's like almost 4:30. I've been up since 3 a.m. loading up all my fishing stuff. I was going to go to Half Moon Bay, which is about 30 minutes south of San Francisco, and I texted this kid Sean, who I sometimes go fishing with as part of the NCKA group, and he said, well, we went out to Half Moon Bay today, and it was really foggy, and we didn't catch, and it was pretty slow fishing. We're going to go to Monterey tomorrow, me and my friend Shalom. So I thought about it. I said, all right, I'll go to Monterey too. It's a 2-hour drive. It's an hour and a half longer, so I'll have to get up early, but I'm going to do it because I'd rather fish with other people than fish by myself. And last time I went to Monterey was when I lost the game clip with 3 fish on it, but I did catch a lot of fish. So I thought, no, I'll go down there and hopefully we'll catch a lot of fish, and I'll come home with limits of rockfish and maybe some lingcod and halibut. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm driving down to Monterey. Thought I would check in. I'm going to pause this and I will turn it back on when I get back, or on the way back from fishing, and I'll let you know how I did. This, I guess last time I did this, I called it the Lonely Kayaker episode 1. So I guess this will be Lonely Kayaker episode 2. If you don't hear this, it means I got eaten by a shark or something happened. There have been a lot of sharks spotted in Monterey. This is one of the great white shark hunting grounds. Hopefully I won't see any. And hopefully it'll be calm today, and hopefully there will be no fog, and hopefully I will not lose the game clip. I did buy a new one, and I put pool noodles on it to try to keep it afloat in case I do lose it. Alright, I'll check back in on my way home, friends. Here I am. I'm back. It is now 2:06 p.m. I did not see any great white sharks, but one of the guys who was fishing with us said last week he was at Pacifica and he hooked a great white shark on his kayak. he said it was bigger than his kayak and it breached the water, and when it breached the water, the hook, I guess it spit the hook out of its mouth or something like that. But I made it out of there alive today. I got there, I'm sitting in traffic, by the way, and I'm doing this on the boss jog, hence the background noise. Thank you for dealing with the noise, I appreciate it. It's now less noise because I'm sitting in bumper to bumper traffic, which it may be like this all the way home. So I got to Monterey Bay Kayaks at about 5:50 a.m. and we were supposed to meet there at 7 a.m. to fish. So I figured I'll sleep until 6:30. I'll get there and sleep until 6:30, and then get up and get my kayak all ready, and it'll be ready when the rest of these guys get here, because they usually are loaded up and ready to go way before I am, because apparently they have garages and stuff at their house and they can just leave everything on their kayak. I have to put the fish finder on it, the battery on it, the seat on it, the pedal drive, and everything else, and it takes me probably a good half hour. So I figure I'll wake up at 6:30 and get my stuff ready, and by the time they get here I'll be loaded up and ready to go as well. So I got up, so I slept till about 6:20 and woke up, went across the street to McDonald's and got an egg muffin. Actually a sausage egg muffin. That's the only time I go to McDonald's, is sometimes I'll get a breakfast like that. And loaded up my kayak, everything, got it all ready to fish, and by then it was about 7:05 or a little after 7. Sean and the rest of those guys hadn't got there yet, so I went ahead and wheeled my kayak onto the beach from the parking lot, put on my wetsuit, everything else. They still hadn't got here, so I said, all right, screw it, I'm just going to go out and troll the beach for halibut while I'm waiting. And I trolled for a while, and eventually met up with them over at the buoys, which is about a mile out or something like that. Slow fishing most of the morning. I caught one rockfish, and then when we met up with those guys, the fish started actually biting, and I ended up I caught a bunch of fish, but I threw a lot of small ones back. I ended up leaving, let's see, when I left those guys, I had 6 rockfish. They're small. Out here at Monterey, the rockfish are kind of small, but they're big enough to eat. One fish is a meal for a person. So I had 6 by the time, by the time I left those guys, I had 6. And then I went off fishing somewhere else, because I knew I was going to be heading in earlier than them. So I wanted to eventually end up at this one reef where I had caught fish before. So I went farther down and I caught a couple more fish. And when I was fishing, I saw this other guy on a kayak pulling a big fish, and I didn't know what it was. It didn't look like a rockfish, and he had it in a net. So I said, I'm going to go over there and chat this guy up and see what kind of fish he caught. So I'm pedaling over towards him, and I get closer to him, and he goes, I'm fishing right here. Why do you got to come near me, you fucking asshole? Get the hell out of here. And I'm like, wow, okay, this guy is a fucking asshole, redneck, son of a bitch, and he's looking for a fight. I am not going anywhere near this prick. So, speaking of that, before this, I don't know why anybody would be upset when they're in the water enjoying a good day of fishing. I mean, it was a beautiful day out. The water was calm. There was no wind, or there was very little wind. It was a light breeze. My arm and back problems when I was out in the water completely disappeared, which could mean that this thing is all in my mind. I don't know, but my thumb was no longer numb. My arm wasn't hurting. My back wasn't hurting. There was no numbness. Then I run into this guy who's an asshole looking for a fight with somebody, and he's like, you fucking asshole, I hate you guys on the pedal kayaks anyway, get the hell out of here. I'm so, okay, I'm out of here, dude. So I pedaled over to where the guy was about 3 times my size, and if I would have stayed, I don't back down from people very easy. That's a problem that I have. If somebody starts fucking with me, I feel the need to defend myself, but I held it in because this guy was about twice as big as me, and I didn't feel like getting into a fight in the middle of the ocean with this guy. So I pedaled over to the reef where I was planning on going anyway, and caught another rockfish. As I was pulling it up, there was a lingcod had grabbed hold of this fish. The lingcod, sometimes lingcods are like these are way bigger than rockfish, and sometimes they will do what's called hitchhiking on the rockfish. And this guy had hitchhiked. It was about a 28-inch lingcod, and it let go of it right when it saw the kayak, but it still was hovering around the fish. So I lowered the fish down a little bit so the lingcod wouldn't see me, and he was still he was still like hanging around the fish, like he was getting ready still going to try to eat the fish. So I thought maybe I could lure him to bite the fish, and no such luck. He ended up just getting bored and going back down. So I dropped the line back down again. The rockfish was a little bit too small, so I let it go. It was still alive. It didn't have any teeth marks on it or anything. So I dropped the line again and had a big fish on, or had a fish that didn't feel like a rockfish or a lingcod on. And it's given up a pretty good fight. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a halibut. I don't know what it is. And I pulled up this fish. It was about 20, maybe 22 inches or something like that, maybe a little bit less. I didn't know what kind of fish it was. I thought maybe it's a white sea bass. But if it's a white sea bass, I don't think it's a white sea bass, but it could be. But a white sea bass is 28-inch limit, so I can't. So what I did was I pulled it up in the net, took a picture of it, and texted it to that kid Sean, and I sent him I radioed him and said, "Hey Sean, I just texted you a picture of this fish. Can you ID it for me?" And he looked at the picture and he goes, "Oh, I don't know what that is. I don't know." And I'm thinking to myself, well, I was always told if you cannot ID a fish, the ethical thing to do is to release it. So I looked at this fish and I said, well, this fish looks like it's got to be good tasting fish. I got on the internet and looked and couldn't really tell what kind of fish it was just by looking online. Fortunately, there's cell reception there. So I let the fish go, and it swam back down. And about 30 seconds after I let it go, one of the guys who was fishing with Sean, I guess Sean showed him the picture and asked him to ID, and he goes, "Yeah, I know what that fish is. That is a ocean whitefish, and it is great sashimi." And I said, "Of course it is. I let the motherfucker go, and it is great tasting sashimi." So, bye-bye sashimi. I ended up going in with 8 rockfish, which it's more than dinner for 3 people. So, all in all, happy with the way the day went. I'm now driving home. I did not get into a fight, thank God. I didn't get pushed off the kayak by a big fucking whiskey-backed redneck prick. And now my arm is numb again and my back hurts. But that's that. And I forgot to pull up a song, so I'm going to pause this again and spin the iTunes wheel and see what comes up, friends. So stand by. Actually, I'm not going to do that because then I'll have to go back through all this again. So I'm just going to say goodbye from here, friends. So be no song today. Thank you for listening. You can find this show at rockandrollgeek.com. You can find me on the Facebook, R&R Geek. You can find me on the Twitter, R&R Geek. You can find me on the Instagram, Rockandrollgeek. Send me an email, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of these dog days of podcasting. Is this day 19? Is it either the 19th or 20th? I'm not sure. I think it's the 19th. Day 19. We're blazing right through this thing, and I'm enjoying it. I like doing a show a day. And for people who say, well, you're only doing short shows. Yeah, but yesterday was a long show, so. All right. that's enough ways to reach me. Thank you for the donations, everybody. Please keep the donations coming. Without your donations, this show would die a horrible, putrid, stench-filled, getting beat up by a redneck asshole in the middle of the ocean kind of death. We will talk to you tomorrow, friends.
It's a rock and roll geek train wreck.